Hi guys, hope you all are well. Um, yes, my first video about the NICU journey. That was part one. So it became too long and I didn't finish it. So I said, let me do part two. So I know in part one I stopped about where the doctors had told me that my child had a little hole in his heart, and if the hole didn't heal itself, he would need to have open heart surgery. So it was one setback after another in the NICU for me. Sorry, I'm just settling down. I just got to the office. Yeah. So when they told me that if the hole in his heart didn't heal, he'd have to have open heart surgery, the thought of that, I just couldn't bear. Then further down the line, during the 23 days when he was in the NICU as well, it came the time where the eye doctor needed to come check his eyes. So when she came to check his eyes, cause like sometimes premature babies, because they coming out earlier than expected, the eye sometimes stops developing as it should have while they're inside. So that's something that you need to monitor, and that is actually called ROP. It stands for retinopathy of prematurity. So it's a condition that can cause blindness if it doesn't repair itself. So the eye doctor came in. Then the eye doctor says to me, no, your son does have ROP. It's stage 2 ROP. We need you to go down to stage 0. Then I asked the question again, what happens if it doesn't go down to 0? What happens if it doesn't repair itself? And then they say to me, if it doesn't, then your child has to have eye surgery. Oh gosh. Now imagine two doctors telling you this. While your son is underweight, he's in the incubator, he's in the hospital, you discharge from hospital. There's so much of pressure because now the nurses need you to pump out breast milk using the breast pump so that they can feed the child through the tube. He had the tube in his nose, and then that was hooked up to a machine, and then they would like put the milk into a syringe and then put the syringe into the machine, and that would go into the NG tube, and that would feed him. So yeah, that was the story with the eyes and with the heart. Then further to that, when he was like 6 or 7 days old, then I get a call at home. I'm like, oh my god, why is the NICU phoning me? Something's wrong. Then they phone me, they tell me, your child has yellow jaundice. We're going to have him under the UV light up until it resolves. Then I was like, okay, is it detrimental? Then they said, no, it's not. So they had him under the UV light. That day when I went to the NICU, I couldn't carry him, I couldn't hold him, couldn't touch him much because you can't disrupt the light process. And he had these little glasses blocking his eyes. Oh gosh, I'll share the pictures with you guys of how he was in the NICU. Those pictures are a very sensitive point for me. I've never shared them up until his first birthday, when I felt courageous enough to share them. So yeah, that's how much I appreciate you on this journey with me. So I will be sharing that with you in the next video, and you'll get to meet my baby in the next video. But now he's okay, guys. He's 18 months old now, and he's a bouncing baby. Yeah. So what had happened was because of all these setbacks, he stayed there for 23 days up until doctors gave the go-ahead for him to go home. When doctors gave the go-ahead for him to go home, he weighed 2.1 kgs. Yeah, when he was discharged, he weighed 2.1 kgs. So his weight eventually came up. Even that was a struggle, because then they had to start putting milk fortifier into the breast milk that I would express, in order for him to get those extra calories to gain weight, because he was losing, and when he was gaining like very slowly. Then also my milk supply, because he wasn't drinking directly from my breast, I had to pump milk. My supply never really got established properly, and yeah, I also felt, like a failure, because I couldn't breastfeed my child. I couldn't get enough milk for my child, so when I didn't have enough, then they had to top him up with formula. So I also felt bad about that. And then obviously, before they could discharge him, he had to meet like certain requirements. Like he had to drink 60 mils of milk through a bottle now, not through the tube. And it was just one setback after another, and I felt that every step forward that we were taking, there were 10 steps backward. It was the most heartbreaking journey I've ever been through in my life, and I've been through a lot in life, but this NICU journey, it was really something else. It broke me. It really did. And then on the 25th of November, I woke up that morning, and then everything just came crashing down. I just thought of everything. And remember, through this time now, I also have a wound that is not healing because I'm not resting. I'm up and down in the hospital like 2 times a day. I'd go in the morning, then I'd come back home, I'd go back in the afternoon, then his dad would come back from work, pick me up in the evening from hospital, and I'd sit there for as much time as I could spend with him each day, and I'd carry him, feed him. Then we had to give him kangaroo care for him to grow, and he was so small that he could fit into my shirt. You'll see the picture of that. And it's so funny, because like people would be afraid if you had to see a small baby like that, but they'd be afraid to hold him and handle him. But like it just came naturally to me, because obviously God would choose only the people he knows that can go through this thing and come out in one piece. And on the 25th of November, I actually reached a breaking point where I couldn't take it anymore. When I woke up that morning, I just started crying, thinking of everything that was going on in my life at this point, thinking about my baby. And I was also away from home. I was not with my husband at our home, because I stayed with my aunt at my aunt's place, because it was closer to the hospital, and I needed transportation to go to the hospital, because obviously because of my visual impairment, I don't drive. I can't get my driver's license. I discussed that in my previous video. So yeah, on the 25th of November, when I got up, everything just came crashing down. All the emotions came flooding in, all the tears came flooding out, and I said to God, I know you're testing me. I know you know that I'm strong, but I'm broken. I can't take it anymore. I can't go further. I don't know how to go further. I've reached a point where I'm broken. I'm shattered. I don't know how to get out of bed. I don't know how to move further. And please, I prayed, I pleaded to God, I cried to God, please, I need this thing to be over. I can't take it anymore. Then I go to the hospital that day. And then as soon as I walked in, the nurses were like, doctors assessed your baby, and he's at a point where he can go home. Obviously, if you take him home, you're gonna have to take him for lots of checkups for the eyes and the heart and everything after that. But yeah, he's ready to go home. When do you want to take him home? And I'm like, what do you mean, when do I want to take him home? I can even take him home today. Then they're like, okay, if he finishes his 60 mils of milk today, tomorrow, you need to come through in the morning at 7 o'clock. You need to do all his feedings for the day, all his nappy changes. We need to see that you're able to feed him, you're able to handle him, you're able to take care of him. And then if you pass those tests, you will also be able to take him home tomorrow, well, the day after tomorrow. Then I was like, wow, okay. Then phoned everyone, told them the good news. So that, but then, and then they also said that your baby will need to drink directly from your breast. Then I knew that that was going to be a problem because of his heart condition. He like got tired when he was drinking, so he didn't have enough strength to drink from the breast, and he got tired when he was drinking from the bottle as well. And then so I knew 60 mils is going to be a problem, and I knew drinking from the breast was going to be a problem. But anyway, went there the next day, did all the nappy changes, did all the feedings. He was not finishing his 60 mils. And but then I think they just let that go, because he only started drinking his full 60 mils maybe when he was about 3 or 4 months. So if they didn't let it go at that time, I probably wouldn't have taken him home at all up until 3 or 4 months. So lucky they let that one go. And then came to the breastfeeding. Now I knew this child is not going to make it, and I was so disappointed because I said, oh, this is going to hold you back from coming home. And then the nurses are just saying to me, no, breastfeeding. And then so I started, then they guided me, and I just prayed and I said, God, please let this baby drink so that he can be able to go home. And believe it or not, he breastfed only once, only on the day that he was supposed to go home, just so that he could go home. God gave him that ability to breastfeed. And then he was discharged. We took him home. And when I tried to breastfeed him at home, he never ever breastfed. I tried nipple shields, I tried so many things, he never ever did. The first and the last time he drank from the breast was the day that he needed to be discharged. It was like he knew that he needed to meet this criteria for him to go home, and he did it just on that day. And so yeah, we took him home, and like we had to settle him down at home. When you came home, people like family were like so scared and like so shocked because they're seeing the small baby. And I'm like, guys, now he's 2.1. You're seeing him when he's 2.1. If you saw him when he was 1.6, what would have been the case then? Then we also had to take him for appointments when we came home to the eye doctor, and that was the worst. I hated that because each time that he had to go for those checkups for his eyes, they would peg his eyes up with like this iron thing, and he would cry so much, and oh gosh, that was a bad thing that I hated about taking him for those eye appointments. The heart one was okay because we had to take him, and then they just do a scan. It's kind of like an ultrasound, but they'll do it on the heart. And yeah, we had to take him for those things. And the heart doctor is like, you know what, this child is gaining weight steadily. He doesn't seem to, you know, have any problems. And the good news is there's tissue growing around the hole in his heart. And we think that it's going to be closing soon. So things just started getting better for him. Then round about when he was 2 months old for the eye checkups, then they said the ROP has decreased, it's gone to stage 1. Then a few weeks after that they said the ROP is cured. And but he had a bit of a lazy eye. His eye was lazy, and the doctor said, no, you must bring your child here when your child is 6 months old. We're going to give him glasses because I think he has albinism. I'm like, huh? I know about albinism. I have albinism myself, and I know this child doesn't have albinism, but I think she like didn't even diagnose him properly, but she wants to put the child on glasses when he's 6 months old. And then I refused. I just didn't take him back. And then my husband said, no, for the lazy eye, we're going to try and correct it with by doing eye exercises. So he'd take his finger, or he'd take an object, and then he'll move it around, and then he'll make baby focus. And few months after doing those exercises, the lazy eye corrected. And then the lazy eye, it corrected itself. And I never took him back to the eye doctor for a checkup after that. I need to take him. I don't want to be ignorant about the situation. I need to take him. But like, I figured that I'll just give him a break first. And you also have to have Synergist injections. Synergist injections are injections that protect babies that are immunocompromised from, having any difficulties like RSV with their lungs and stuff. So also, because it was COVID time, we had to go and get him those injections. It was 14,000 rand each. Thank God medical aid paid for it, and he needed to have it for 5 months. So it took us right up to May last year, where he had to get those injections. And then on top of that, his normal vaccines. Then on top of that, the eye checkups. On top of that, the NICU journey. He just went through the most, guys. And I'm so glad that he's fine today. The hole in his heart is almost closed. His eyes are fine. I still need to check that up, but yeah, I'll take him. But I just gave him a break because he had been through too much. And yeah, guys, that was my NICU journey. The worst time of my life ever. And in my next video, I'll let you guys meet him. My bundle of joy, my everything, my sunshine. He's now 18 months. He's met all his milestones. He's walking, crawling, talking, pulling, naughty as ever. You'll get to see him in the next video. And once again, guys, thank you so much for the support, for the encouragement, for the kind words, comments, likes, subscriptions. I appreciate it all. So look out for the next video where I introduce my son to you and share his NICU pictures. Take care. Bye.